guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a 2025 horror review. Where have I put the case? Just a second, here it is. Normal start to me. Yeah, we're looking at a 2025 horror film that I brought on Blu-ray, and it's called Drop. Now this was a Blumhouse film. But before we get into it, let's have a look, see if there's any special features on the disc. So this is the main menu for Drop. Let's see if we have any special features on the disc. Let's have a look. We have a recipe of thrills, making Drop, a palette of panic, killer chemistry, featurette commentary with director Christopher Landon. And that is the special features on Drop. So there is a couple, which is okay. You know, it is a sort of more generic release from Universal Pictures on the Blumhouse label. And so you're going to get minimum. But let's get to the story. So this is based on a woman called Violet, played by Megan Fahey, I believe her name is, and her son. She's a single mum with a son called Toby, played by Jacob Robinson, and she's like a counsellor for women that have been in abusive relationship, because she's suffered abuse herself. She was in an abusive marriage where her husband held her to gunpoint and her son to gunpoint, and the film starts off like that. We see clips of that. When I first saw it, I thought, are we going to have one of those films where we're going to see the end and then go backwards? But no, it's not. This is something that's happened to her, giving you a little picture of what she's sort of been through. And then the film sort of, sorry about that, guys, and then she is going on a date. She's met a guy on the dating app. Her sister called Jen comes round to babysit her. She's played by Violet Bean, and she's going to on this date, and she meets up with a guy called Henry, played by Brandon Sklenar, I want to say. But yeah, so that's who her date is. So she arrives at this really exclusive kind of restaurant, and she's sort of like, she looks beautiful in this sort of red dress, and it's this amazing restaurant high up in this sort of like big tower block. I'm not sure where this is set. It could be Chicago, I'm not sure, but it looks wonderful. And she's sitting there, and her dates arrive late, and she meets a guy called Richard, played by Reed Diamond. He's like a sort of, he's on a first blind date, and he's kind of like talking to her at the bar while she's waiting, and then his blind date arrives, and Richard goes off, and then eventually Henry turns up, and she starts receiving these weird text messages from something called DigiDrop, which I've never heard of, and it's somebody that's in your area can drop you like a message, and she starts getting these weird sort of picture messages and stuff like that, and she keeps sort of like declining them, and Henry tries to help her out and sort out who it is that's sending the message, but they can't track it. And then she gets another message she accepts, and it says check your security cameras at home. And she checks all of her cameras, and lo and behold, in the house with the babysitter and Toby, so that's her sister Jen and Toby, there's a guy, a masked man, played by Benjamin Pelletier, I believe, and he is in the house. and she keeps getting these messages because she's being watched. There's cameras set up everywhere, and there's someone in there that is watching her. So she suspects everybody, the waiter, the staff, other people at a restaurant, and all this kind of weird stuff going on. And this guy's requesting her to do stuff. Otherwise her son and her sister are going to die. And she's got to follow the instructions. She's not allowed to tell anyone what's happening and all this. And it sort of plays out a little bit like that. And let's get to the characters. So the two main characters are really nice, are really likeable characters, Violet and Henry. And so is Violet's sister Jen. I like her. It's got a little bit of a shout out to Child Play, if you ask me, in that, because she's a babysitter, but she's kind of dressed like Chucky. She's wearing like a yellow and red sort of top, like a yellow top with a red rim, and she's wearing like blue dungarees. But she's dressed like Chucky, and it was like a little. I think it's a little shout out to that. I'm sure. Yeah, but they're really cool, and some of the other characters that are in the restaurant, you've got the waiter and all this that are really, really nice and really cool characters, and bring the film to really whole, because it's a really suspenseful film. But the characters are just really cool and play it out really well. And so let's get to my final verdict. I thought this was an awesome film. I thought it was great. It's one of the sort of good horrors I've seen this year. I'm going to score it a great watch and give it an 8 out of 10. It would have got a 9, but I'll get to the little negative about it in a minute. But it would have got a 9, but it dropped a point for... I'll tell you why it's dropped 2 points when we get to that bit. It's a great film. If you enjoyed films like M. Night's Trapped, which was fantastic, you will love this. It's quite similar in that sort of suspense building sort of thing. It's not an action-packed horror. It's a suspense one, like Trapped, when he was at that concert, and he was trying to find a way out. And it's the same sort of thing here. She's trying to find ways to do things that this guy's asking her to do on these messages. And so it's got that sort of same sort of built suspense. The pluses of it looks stunning. It looks amazing on Blu. I only picked the Blu-ray up, and it looks incredible. It looks amazing, absolutely wonderful. It's a great, well-acted film, and it's a really good suspense horror movie with a bit of a Hitchcock sort of feel to it. Now, the two negative points on it. Now, the wife's dropped 2 points. One is obviously there's no gore to speak of, and it's minimum sort of like face-on kind of horror. So it's dropped a point for that. It would have been nice to have some of that in the sort of third quarter of the film, or the last quarter of the film. And the other point it's dropped is the ending. I didn't like the ending because it was a happy ending. I'm not going to tell you how it is, but it's kind of a happy ending, and I don't like that in a horror film. I like my horror films to be horror, and the horror bit is there's no happy ending. But there was happy ending on this one, so it dropped a point for that. So that's why it's dropped to 2 points and got an 8 out of 10. But it doesn't stop it, guys, from being an awesome horror film. It's really cool. Highly recommend drop 8 out of 10. If you guys have seen it, let me know down below what you think of it. It's a really cool sort of suspense movie in the same vein, like I said, as M. Night's Trap and things like that. It's got that sort of feel to it, which is really, really cool. Really enjoyed it. And it's just a great watch, and you're thinking, oh, where's this going to go? Where's this going to go? And it does go some good places. But then the ending just sort of let it down a little bit. But anyway, it's really cool. Guys, check out some horror channels from me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzlewell, I am Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrews, Horror House, and The Maniac. And a massive shout out to my lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.